bring some from the water, some from the parks, and I believe that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then we combine that because we've got guys within those departments that assist operating the paving machine and of course rake and running the other rollers and brushing and everything else.
And do you replace all of the pipes under the streets when you redo?
We need to start doing that, and I know that the previous water superintendent had started doing that project, but that's what we're trying to do also. G Street was the first project that they replaced water sewer, and we paid.
B Street was done.
Okay.
Yes, Chris?
So are you saying that next year, according to the budget for next year, 11 and 12, the only major street in the city that you're going to work on is B Street from 10th to 6th?
No, ma'am, that'll be the only street we do a total reconstruction, and then, it's going down to the base and working it from that point on. There'll be others like the,
Oakland's going to be the other one. Oakland and Oakland.
but like the other seal coating projects, they go and they clean them up as best as possible and work that and then seal coat it. Because the structure underneath is pretty sound.
And
So,
there's some other ones too, right? Up by the school, Railroad Street.
Yeah, that's another.
There's a lot more that, and what they're doing is they're going in order as like they said, needed. But there's a future streets in progress that y'all probably won't see or hear, that they can probably get you on update on.
And a good thing is that Ms. Gracie wants to know is something that I think that we can keep the council informed. This is our first street presentation, but I think our plans are every quarter to come in and give a thorough presentation on the budget, where we are, on expenses, and then maybe even undertake some future projects at that point in time.
And on B Street, is that going to be curved also?
Yes.
Yes.
Bruce?
okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but
No, that's good.
not all streets require total reconstruction, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but this particular one does?
Yes.
Okay, but if there are other residential streets that could be paved
Right.
that do not require total reconstruction, do you have some of those projects online for next year and for years to come?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, the curbing, you were saying, because we've seen that all over the city. Residents are paying for that themselves
In some areas.
in some areas, so, but you would rather see a whole street be done instead of just one residential home, is
It's
that
more cost
correct?
effective like that. It's more cost effective for the contractor to come lay a whole street out rather than 1 or 2 houses.
Okay, so if I wanted curbing, let's say sometime next year,
Right.
in front of my house, I should talk to my neighbors and
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
them if they would consider doing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And would I then call someone?
Rudy Vasquez is our street supervisor, and he's the one that works on all that. He knows the dimensions for the curbing and what serves the best purpose for flood control and drainage, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you could look at the other residences and say, okay, it would cost about this much and about this much,
Right.
and about this much. But if my neighbors don't buy into it, can I still get it done?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just want to make sure,
And
because I
think
know
some of
I've seen a few homes that have it and nobody else on either side of them.
And it looks nice. It really does
Yes,
help
it does.
with the flow of the water also.
Mhm.
Judge, you had a question?
I have a question. Would it be possible for the city manager or someone to appoint a curbing committee that could put together a package of information so those groups who want to could just come in and pick up the package and take it home and study it, and it would have all the dimensions and all the requirements that you would need? Somebody could actually put together a package. Maybe it could be available online.
Yes, ma'am, and we can put it online. I believe that Cindy Nichols, our permitting officer, has done a sign-up sheet for specific neighborhoods and said, are you willing to participate in this, and this is what we can do. But yes, we can put it online also.
Something we should all be really proud of is that it's an ongoing street maintenance program. As long as we keep on shopping here in Floresville, that money will just keep on flowing into our street maintenance. So it's funded annually for our street maintenance tax and also through our general fund, is that correct?
That's correct.
The general fund meaning all the other revenues that we get plus your property taxes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, let's move on to move on to item 3B, update on street speed bumps.
I will just, I'll just address that real quick. At the request of the city council, certain city council members, at different times, speaking with their constituents, there was a possible need for some speed bumps within the city of Floresville. They asked for us to go ahead and purchase some and place them in 2 specific areas to see how they were working. We've got one at
On Plum Street.
one on Plum Street, about what block number do you
One
want?
on 1300 Plum.
1300 Plum, and then one on
On A Street or
by the daycare.
by the
By the daycare, but the first one on Plum Street, there had been several accidents where vehicles had made that curve too quick and run into a home there. The second one, of course, there is a daycare, and we wanted to see how that would impact the children in that area. So to slow traffic down. What we found out is pretty much we haven't received any negative calls. We haven't received any positive calls at City Hall at that point. What we are looking for is now that school is in session and the school buses are going to be passing on the school bus, Beaver Wallace, who's the transportation director, I'm sure will call us and let us know if it's positive for him or if not. But it's a good thing to open for discussion right now for the citizens.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Any of you would like to get a study done on your streets if you feel that there's too much speeding traffic, just get with us and we'll do a study as far as, whether it's feasible we can do it there.
Yeah, I know there's been a couple that we recommended. Again, we don't make that decision. We recommend it to the city manager and the street department. I know there's people on the board, isn't there, Jocelyn? Residents that were given.
Yes, sir. We've got a request on Sutherland Springs Road, and then on
South Second?
another one on Plum, on the
So,
other side of.
Just so y'all know, I mean, those recommendations come up, and then we just give addresses and they speak and they go from there.
Any other comments? Any questions? If not, let's go into new business. Consideration and action approves medical insurance plan for city employees.
What's the cost on the speed bumps?
What's the cost, Andy, on speed bumps?
Mr. Rudy,
It was $79, I think, a speed bump, or $49 the other speed bump. Plus the signs were $29. And the poles were 20. So that's,
Less than 150, right? Approximately, right, Rudy?
yeah, something like that.
Consideration action to approve medical insurance plan for city employees. Our insurance agent, Jason Sad, is with us. He's going to give us a briefing on our insurance.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I've placed before you just a real short synopsis of some of the things that we'll be recommending. All of you have received this book that has all the proposals included in it, and I hope you've had time to review. I didn't receive any particular questions from anyone, but I have met with City Manager Jocelyn, and we've talked about some of the options. And many years as we quote this group, some years it's very easy to determine what might be the right route to go. Some years it's a little more difficult. The good news is that this year we do have some savings and that we're able to proceed with some changes that I think would be very positive. We don't get that every year. As you know, we've been with Principal Financial Group for the last 4 years, I believe, and some of those years were some pretty high claim experience years, and therefore we didn't have that real opportunity to receive bids like we have this year. So let's go ahead and just go to this. I'd like to highlight a few things. And the first part I wanted to talk about that's not on the list is that we did receive proposals from United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We didn't receive anything from Cigna, but Cigna, their territory is more in the northeast. You really don't see a big penetration here in this area. These 4 companies that I'm talking about here tend to work and operate in this marketplace. Also, I want to mention that many of you probably have heard or know that Principal Financial Group is exiting the medical insurance business. And that was a result of the medical health care reform bill, that they just decided that they weren't big enough to meet some of the criteria of the new health care reform measures. And so what we're seeing in the last 10 to 15 years, a market that's really becoming smaller, and that's not good. But the first 3 bullet points that are listed here are recommendations based on the proposals that are received. I do want to mention that the quote is fully underwritten, which means that all the claims data has been presented to the underwriter, and this proposal is based on that, and therefore the rates hold. Okay. Also, it includes the retiree coverage that for your employee handbook, which is a requirement for your handbook, and that is also included in these rates. So the first part there is the medical, of which you pay 100% for the employee-only cost. Currently, you do have a $2,500 deductible, and that's what we're proposing keeping with, but we're also recommending that you keep the health reimbursement arrangement that you have, similar to what you have now. Be a 170 plan, 100% in-network, 70% out-of-network. The co-pays would be 20-45, meaning 20 for primary. Currently, your primary copay is a $30 copay plan. This would be split 20-45, 20 for primary, 45 for specialist. The one thing that's going to be new on the plan is that you will have an emergency room copay, which you didn't have on the principal plan. The principal plan, everything went toward your deductible first for emergency room visits.
So what would be that cost?
What would be the cost? It's actually $250. Okay, but after $250, everything's paid 100%. Okay. So under the prior plan, everything applied to the deductible, such as the emergency room. Your prescription copay is the 10-30-50. 25% applies to level 4 drugs, which are usually pretty expensive medication used for cancer treatment, also some of the other rheumatoid arthritis, things like that. We don't see it utilized much, but that's the way the Humana plan operates. So what we're recommending there is a change from the current plan to this Humana plan, and what that results in is a $33,334.08 savings. Now the reason the savings is a little more since the budget workshop, the rate hasn't changed. It's just my recommendation was to combine several lines of coverage, and Humana has some really good discounts if you combine other lines of coverage. For example, the basic life insurance, you offer each employee $15,000 of basic life. That rate currently is $564. With the Humana plan, it would be $390. Therefore, offering $1,085 per year in savings.